Hi, everyone. Coach Sullivan here again with MGS Coaching Football. To my subscribers, I thank you. And to non subscribers, I really hope you decide to push the button. Okay? I also just completed my 38th year coaching football, where I was a defensive coordinator. But over that span of time, I've also been an offensive coordinator, special teams coordinator, longtime head coach, and all of this at both the collegiate and high school levels. Today, in this presentation, what I'd like to talk to you about is one of our 3-4, what we call gold 3 deep rotational coverage variations. Okay. So I have a diagram for you versus 11 up top, middle of the field, and versus 10 bottom, middle of the field, but it's good versus all personnel groupings. Non subscribers get access to the introduction to the 3 deep coverage variations if you push the button. So I'm not going to refer to that again, non subscribers. So over here, I have the key terms that I intend on bringing to life because I have the Oklahoma two-man pass concept up top on both sides and Florida two-man pass concept on both sides on the bottom, just so you can see how gold works in terms of covering. Okay? So first one is huge. Surface, normal reads. Surface for us is tackle to tackle, tackle to tackle, always. So everybody but the outside linebacker lined up on a tight end is reading from tackle to tackle, their portion of it for runner, pass, and direction. Okay, so that stays the same. Number two here is this gold is we rotate, spin the safeties to the pass strength, which is the lizard rip. And then consequently, the safeties are making a Louis or a Roger call. So up top, I have it a rip, so it's Roger. On the bottom, I have it Liz, so it's Louis. So you can see both. Okay. So number three, the match side of the coverage is the outside and inside linebacker opposite the lizard rip. Okay, so it'll be opposite the Louis Roger. Number four, the hot side is the free safety, and then the outside inside linebacker on the same side as the free safety, which is to the lizard rip. Okay. So number five, the hot technique is man coverage with zone leverage. All right. So non-subscribers, if you hit the button, you can go to my zone blitz coverage playlist. Number six, the free safety, since he's coming from our too high structure, is going to work on the screw down on the snap, okay? And he reads what we just say, read the surface on the way. As you're screwing down, you're reading the surface, and I'll show you how that plays out. Because if it's run, he potentially, depending on the scheme, he stops the screw down, okay? And the angle the free safety takes is near hip of that number one outside receiver. Okay, so the spacing obviously can affect the angle, and that's why the angle is the near hip. Okay, so number seven involves our corners, field corner and boundary corner, and what we call there 1/3 technique, or a third, right? Deep third, outside third. So it's the same deal, right? Surface to number one. They're going to tempo number one's vertical. So their immediate threat to their third is the outside, furthest outside receiver, who for us is number one. So tempo, and I'll go over that with you. And then they're going to tempo scan for vertical threats inside. So if number one's not vertical, I'll teach you how they scan their eyes inside, and then tempo depending upon what potential threats there are to their third. Okay. And then number eight is the whip, the other safeties, and what we call the middle third technique. So starts with they rotate on the snap, right? The free screws down on the snap. The whip rotates on the snap, therefore completing the spin. The same thing. As he's rotating, he reads surface on the way. So there's a potential to stop the rotating and fit in on the run. Okay? That's why we do it. If it is a pass, we want him at 20 yards. We want the middle third safety deeper than everybody to start off at 20 yards. He's at 10, so we're not rotating too much. It's only 8 more yards. Landmarks will vary. I'll give you the landmarks we teach the safety in the middle of the field versus if ball's on the hash. And I'll give you a hint. It's about the same. Right, and then the technique, once they're at that landmark at 20, head on a swivel, reading quarterback indicator, okay? And what this is all predicated on is route communications. Boom, 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 done, 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 okay? The corners in particular need to communicate any deep vertical routes to that middle third safety, all right? So here we go. In the middle of the field, this is versus 11 gun Dallas pistol. In the bottom middle of the field versus 10 gun Detroit pistol. Okay? So I'm going to start up top here. All right. It's a rip. So right now, the free who's making the call screaming Roger, 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 and the whip is echoing Roger, Roger, Roger. So the safeties are together, making sure they're spinning in the same direction, right in this case. Okay? So the way this works, I'm going to do the defense in red here. Okay? The match side, since it's rip, here is your match side. Right? Correct, I mean? And so match principles were a base match quarters. The outside linebacker, pass read. He knocks back, as we'll see, but then he expands out, which he does in our base match quarters, non-subscribers, looking for number one. If one comes in, he takes it. Otherwise, he buzzes the flat. Inside linebacker pivots to number two. Again, surface, in this case, surface to two. All right? If two's coming into him, that's what he does in our base match quarters. He takes them, boom, done. If two does anything else but come to him, he works, he starts to scan, and we just teach him a little shuffle technique with eyes to one, because if one's out or vertical, anything but the curl, he's going to stop and mirror the quarterback. Okay? So that takes care of the match side underneath. The hut side. Okay? Starts with the free safety screw down, right? So we've already done the match side. We've already done the rotation. Now we're on the hut side. And we're going to bring in the free safety screw down. Free safety first. Snap indicator. Let's say it's that, right? He's not moving until the snap, but when he sees that, he starts really kind of, and he gets a little bit more weight on that up foot, so the heel's off the ground, so he can dig and step toward the near hip. Ball is snapped. Remember, nothing happens till the ball snapped. As he's screwing down to that near hip, he is reading on the way the surface. So we'll say for now the surface is all hi-hats, right? Pass. As he's coming down, that's the landmark, and now he's reading the hip of number one. He's going to be a hut, meaning he's going to play man coverage with zone leverage. So simply put, okay, if, and in the case of Oklahoma, he is going vertical, he is going to try and cut him off. If nothing else, he's going to get hand on and then try and keep dominant leverage as much as possible. Right? We have a third defender there. I'm going to talk the corners last in this whole progression. Okay? So now, when the dime in this case, and I'll do him in black, the dime in this case, right, surface, they show pass, so I'm just going to do that. He's hot there. He goes and tries to cut number two. There it is. See, this is great. See, we're adding to the perimeter. So if we're struggling with bubble, if we're struggling with any type of wide receiver screens, whether it's a now screen, whether it's a tunnel screen, If we're getting hurt with it, this is a great changeup. If you're getting hurt with potential double moves, bubble and go, wide receiver screen and go, you got a thirds defender there. You could be real aggressive on that, and you still got somebody deep. It's all good. Okay? And then the backer who's playing hot on the running back, if the running back fits in protection, the linebacker does what he does in our match quarters, and that is he key rushes. So he would add to the rush at that point. Otherwise, if the back's in the pattern, the hot backer, in this case, it's the backer, because he's on the side of the lizard rip, takes the back. Boom, done. Okay? So now, let's get to the whip. Okay, ball snapped. He's rotating to the middle. It's pass. He's getting it 20 yards. Since it's middle of the field, the landmark, right? Middle of the field is over the quarterback. So if the quarterback's launch point is a little bit varied off center, the whip gets looking at the quarterback. So he gets opposite the quarterback, okay? If the ball were on the hash, because the whip's going to be on the hash, we tell the whip, I want you on the portion of the goalpost that's in the ground. That's the direct middle of the field. Okay, so that's what we tell the whip. Makes sense, right? Okay. And then from there, his head's on the swivel, reading quarterback indicators, which helps front elbow, right? And then the front hand comes off, the whip's breaking in the same direction. Okay, this is what we call a cycle 2 technique for all of our DBs. Future presentations to subscribers and non-alike. Okay, so now let me first get to the technique of the corners, and then I'll build in Oklahoma over here for the match side, and then we'll just go through the whole thing here versus Florida. Okay, so first the corners. Right? Look at that. We're covering everything. What's meant by surface to one? Same thing. They got a quick zit step. They walk, pedal. Now they see that it's pass, right? It kicks in. Tempo number 1, vertical. So over here, in this case, in fact, number 1 is vertical. So in that case, he's going to match the tempo of number 1. If 1's buzzing, then he gets in his crossovers, okay? And he works to carry, meaning have outside leverage, and be dominant. So in other words, be on top. Same over here. Surface, tempo, be dominant, and on top. That's why their eyes go there first. There's the immediate threat to their third. Okay, so down here, I'm going to show you a different pass concept in Florida on purpose. Okay, so now down here, the match side, let me just erase this. So outside linebacker first, right? Number 1 in or flat, so he shoots his hand. Knockback is always, here's pass. Starts working out, which is what he does always in our match quarters, hence match side, right? Same technique, not a lot of new teaching here. Number 1's not to him, then he continues to the flat. And so 2's in the flat in Oklahoma, outside linebackers there to play it. Excuse me. Mike linebacker pivots, right? Eyes to 2. 2's not into him. Then he shuffles, like I mentioned earlier. Number 1's not in the curl. He bounces up and now mirrors the quarterback. We're not going to drop him, have him get out there to the curl when there's no curl threat. So we just say shuffle, shuffle. And once it's clear to you that number 1 is not going to run the curl, then you pivot back and mirror the quarterback. We let the scheme tell our defenders where to be. That is part of our base match quarters. We involve that here on the match side of this 3-deep coverage variation called gold. Why wouldn't we, right? No new teaching involved. So that's it in terms of techniques and so forth. Up top versus 11. Now we're just going to play the coverage down here. Okay? So I'm going to do the defense in black, and then I will do the offensive routes of Florida in red. So, right, ball snapped. Screw down. Let's, again, just say that the surface is showing pass. Okay? So there he is on that hip. There he is there. There he is there. And we'll say that he does the flare, so he's going to go get the back, right? So he pivots. His eyes are on 2. He's expanding to number 1, right? He's rotating middle. He's tempoing on 1. So walk pedal first. Here's how Florida works. Little hitch. Right corner. Smash concept. Little hitch. Corner. Smash concept. So here's the way it works. Right? He's hot on 2. He's hot on 1. So as he's screwing down, he sits on the hitch. He's here. He's playing hotter on top with as dominant leverage as he can get. Hopefully he can get into what we call a wall position inside on a vertical. But here's the big key here. What is meant by the corners? Tempo, scan for vertical threat inside. He sits, he sees the curl, so now he's tempoing, scanning his eyes to number 2. As long as he's vertical, he's going to continue to work for depth. For this reason, when it breaks to the corner, he has that dominant leverage. So his tempo matches now the vertical tempo of number 2. Okay, we don't spot drop anywhere in the field, including in the thirds. Okay, including in the thirds. So now vertical threat of 1 is gone. So now you match the tempo of number 2, and when he breaks to the corner, if you've done that, you have your dominant leverage. You are sitting carry, which means you are outside coming in on the corner route. You are in perfect position because that corner route's looking back over his shoulder, right? So now same thing over here. He's looking for 2 in. 2's not in. There is no curl, right? Comes back. Mirror the quarterback. Same thing here. 1's not coming in, but 1's sitting in the flat. He goes and covers up the hitch, which is the same thing he does in match quarters. Again, limit the new teaching. So over here now, right? Here comes the buzzing vertical of number 2. Walk pedal, no threat. He's matching the tempo of number 2, just like the field corner is. And now, having done that, when the corner route breaks, he too is carrying outside in on the corner route with that poor guy looking over his shoulder. Woo! And whichever way the quarterback's indicator points, he's breaking as well, but he's not likely to make a play on a corner route, right? So outside in leverage on a corner route if you play the thirds properly. And that's what's meant by tempo scan for vertical threat. And that's going to be number 2. So as I said at the beginning, to subscribers, I thank you. Non-subscribers, I hope we've teased you into subscribing. And to everyone, any questions at all about our gold 3-deep rotational coverage variation, please reach out to me at coachmjsullivan@gmail.com. Starting to happen. I'm learning football. I know I'm helping people on the other side of the screen, and that's what this platform's are all about. So I'd like to thank YouTube for that.